Jain children, we can continue today's class with the chapter Why Do We Fall Ill? The last class we had discussed about what is health, what is the difference between health and disease-free condition, and we discussed about the personal and community issues, how these issues affect our health, and after that we studied about the difference between sign and symptoms, isn't it? Then today we are going to discuss about the types of diseases and the causative organisms of diseases. The next is types of diseases. Here you can see that first one is acute diseases. Acute diseases means that will last for only short period of time, last for only a short period of time. For example, common cold, cough, etc. You know that common cold that will last for only a week, isn't it? So such a short period of time that will last. Such diseases are called acute diseases. Second one is chronic diseases. That means the diseases that will last for long period of time even after, even throughout our life. Such diseases are called chronic diseases. For example, elephantiasis, then tuberculosis, then diabetes, asthma, etc. So these diseases will last for long period of time. So that diseases are called chronic diseases. Then some other differences also there between this acute and chronic diseases. These acute diseases that will not cause any major effect. So that is the difference between acute and chronic diseases. So what is the difference between this acute and chronic disease? These are the differences. Acute disease that will last for short period of time, but this chronic disease will last for long time, isn't it? Then another difference is this acute disease will not cause any major effect on our health. Not cause any major effect on our health. But these chronic diseases will cause major effects on our health. Major effects. That is another difference. Then in acute disease, we are not feeling any tiredness. So, and also there is no loss of weight. So, here no loss of weight because of acute diseases, and there is no tiredness. But here we can see that because of chronic diseases there is loss of weight and we feel tiredness also. So these are the differences between acute and chronic diseases. So acute diseases that will last for short period of time, but chronic diseases will affect or last for long period of time even throughout our life. Examples are here common cold, here examples are tuberculosis, elephantiasis, diabetes, etc. Then this acute disease will not cause any major effect on our health. But here chronic diseases will cause some major effects on our health, even that will affect our organs also. Where these chronic diseases are affecting, that organs will affect. So that cause major effects on our body. Then acute diseases, there is no loss of weight. But because of chronic diseases, there is heavy loss of weight. And acute disease will not cause any tiredness. But these chronic diseases will always, we will feel as tired. Isn't it? So these are the differences between acute and chronic diseases. Next is the causes of diseases. Causes of diseases. So for any diseases, there may be often different causes are there and different levels of causes are there. We know about only one level of cause, that is, for example, we are telling that some microorganisms will cause that particular disease, or the deficiency of some vitamin cause deficiency diseases, like that only one cause we will know. But for each diseases there are different causes are there and different levels of causes are there. So we can see one by one. For any diseases there is an immediate cause. Then what is that immediate cause? Immediate cause means it is the real cause of that particular disease. For example, a baby is suffering from loose motion. A baby is suffering from loose motion. We can say that the immediate cause of that loose motion is because of viral infection or because of bacterial infection, isn't it? So that is the immediate cause of that particular disease. So an immediate cause means it is the real cause of the disease, and which is also called, this immediate cause is also called first level of cause. First level of cause, also called first level of cause. That shows what? That shows the real cause of the disease. And for example, a baby is suffering from loose motion. We can say as what? The immediate cause is what? That loose motion is because of either viral infection or because of bacterial infection. And second cause is contributory causes. Different causes are there, contributory causes for a particular disease. So first one is, for a disease there is an immediate cause, and that is the real cause of that particular disease. Then there is contributory causes, and there are also known as second level of causes. And what is that contributory causes? These are factors which are responsible for which make an individual prone to catching the disease. The factor responsible for an individual prone to catching the disease, that causes are called contributory causes. For example, we can take the same example already we told, no, the baby is suffering from loose motion. What is the immediate cause? Loose motion, there may be viral infection or maybe bacterial infection. Then second question is, where did the infection come from? That baby got infection, no. Where did the infection come from for that baby? So from where? That is because of unclean drinking water. Because of unclean drinking water. That is another cause. Because of unclean drinking water. So that baby is suffering from loose motion. The immediate cause is either because of viral infection or bacterial infection. Then why that baby got infection, or where did that infection come from? That infection come from because of that unclean drinking water. The next question is, so many babies drink the same unclean drinking water. Then, so why is it that one baby suffering from that loose motion, why the other babies did not? That is the question. That one baby only suffering that loose motion, why the other babies did not? Because they are also drink the same water, isn't it? Then only that particular baby got that loose motion. Why? The answer is, might be because of poor health. Because of poor health. Okay, so once again, contributory causes, that is also known as second level of causes of a particular disease. That causes are responsible for an individual to prone to catch that particular disease. For example, if that baby is suffering from that loose motion because of either viral infection or bacterial infection, and why that baby got such an infection? Because of unclean drinking water. Then so many babies drink the same unclean drinking water. Then why that particular baby only got such a loose motion and other babies did not get? So answer is maybe because of poor health. The next question is, why is the baby not healthy? Why is the baby not healthy? The answer is because of lack of good food or poor nourishment, because of lack of good food or poor nourishment. Then there is another question, why is the baby not well nourished? Because that baby is from a household which is poor. Household which is poor, that is poor family. So that baby is not get sufficient food or nutritious food. And another, there is a chance for the loose motion is that baby has some genetic disability. So that also that baby will get that loose motion. So these all are the contributory causes of that particular disease called what? Loose motion. So loose motion, if there is loose motion, we know that there is a viral infection or there may be a bacterial infection. But there are so many other causes are also there. These causes are called what? Contributory causes. So once again, for example, contributory causes, for example, the factors which make an individual prone to the cause of that disease, prone to catching that disease. Then for example, if that baby is suffering from loose motion because of viral infection or bacterial infection, then why that, from where that baby get that infection? That is because of unclean drinking water. Then why the other babies also drink the same unclean drinking water, then why that particular baby only got such an infection or loose motion? Because of what? Poor health. Then why that baby is in poor health condition? Because of lack of good food or lack of nourishment or nutritious food. Why there is lack of good food? Because that family is a poor family. And there is some other causes there also there, that the baby has some genetic differences, so that baby got a loose motion. So these all causes together we can say that contributory causes. Then third level causes. Third level causes, that causes increases the proneness to disease, that increases the proneness to diseases. Okay. For example, same example, why there was no clean drinking water for that baby? Why there was no clean drinking water for that baby? So because of poor public service. Poor public service. So poverty and these poor public service, these are the third level of causes of that disease called what? Loose motion. So we studied different causes for that single disease, isn't it? That is, we told about only loose motion, but there is an immediate cause is there. That is, there may be viral infection or bacterial infection. That is the actual cause or real cause of that disease is called what? Immediate cause. After that, several causes are there. They are all together known as what? Contributory causes. And there is a third level of cause, and that causes increases the proneness to disease. So for example, why there was no clean drinking water for that baby? Because of poor public service. And that poverty and also that poor public service, these are the third level of causes of diseases. So here immediate cause is the first level, contributory causes are the second level, and here it is the third level causes of diseases. So from all these causes and from that example, we can conclude the main point. What is that main point? So most diseases will have many causes rather than a single cause. There are many causes are there for a single disease, not only a single cause. Then infectious and non-infectious causes of diseases. Based on these, there are infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases. So infectious diseases means that diseases are caused by infectious agents or caused by microbes or microorganisms. Infectious diseases that are caused by microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, etc. And these diseases are also known as communicable diseases. Communicable diseases. These diseases are also known as communicable diseases. Why? Because these diseases spread into the community. Spread into the community. So these are called communicable diseases. For example, malaria, tuberculosis. Then now we can say that COVID also, that also spreading in the community, isn't it? So that is also an example for communicable diseases or infectious diseases. Once again, the diseases which are caused by microbes or microorganisms such as viruses, bacteria, fungi, etc. are called infectious diseases. It is infectious agents are there. So they are called infectious diseases, and diseases are also called communicable diseases because these diseases are spread into the community. And for example, malaria, tuberculosis, then COVID, etc. Then non-infectious diseases. Non-infectious diseases. Non-infectious diseases, these are not caused by microorganisms, but its cause is either internal cause or some genetic cause, etc. And that diseases are not spreading from, that is not spread into the community also. So they are called non-communicable diseases. So these non-infectious diseases are also called what? Non-communicable diseases, because these are not communicate or spread into the community. And these non-infectious diseases are not caused by any microorganism. That cause may be internal or some genetic cause, etc. For example, or non-infectious causes are there. There are non-infectious causes. For example, cancer. You know that cancer. There may be some cancer may be due to genetic abnormalities. Then another example is high blood pressure. That high blood pressure is because of what? Lack of exercise and also because of excessive weight, etc. So these all are examples for non-infectious diseases, cancer, then high BP, etc. So these are the differences between infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases. The ways in which diseases spread and the ways in which they can be treated and the ways in which they prevented at the community level, all these would be different for different diseases, isn't it? So the ways in which diseases spread would be different for different diseases. The ways in which they can be treated be different for different diseases. The ways in which they prevented at the community level, that also different for different diseases. But all these will, that is the ways in which diseases spread, the ways in which they can be treated, the ways in which they can be prevented at the community level, depend on whether the immediate causes are infectious or non-infectious, whether the immediate causes are infectious or non-infectious. Then we need to study the details of infectious diseases. Infectious diseases that are caused by microorganisms and also some other organisms such as worms. So that the infectious diseases means that diseases are caused by infectious agents such as microbes and the other organisms such as worms. And some examples for such infectious diseases and their causative organisms are here. Look at the figures also. SARS viruses that cause a disease called what? SARS. That is SARS viruses that cause a disease called SARS. Then staphylococci. It's a bacteria. Staphylococci is the name of a bacteria that cause acne. Then trypanosoma. Trypanosoma is a protozoan that cause a disease called sleeping sickness. Trypanosoma is a protozoan that cause a disease called sleeping sickness. Then leishmania. That's also an example for a protozoan that cause a disease called Kala Azar. Then roundworm. Roundworms, you know, it's worms. They are worms that cause a disease called ascariasis in small intestine, in our small intestine, ascariasis in small intestine. And its scientific name is Ascaris lumbricoides. There is male Ascaris and female Ascaris worms are there. So Ascaris lumbricoides that cause ascariasis in our small intestine. These are some of the examples for infectious diseases and their causative organism. Then various infectious diseases and their agents. Some of the examples are here. Some of viral diseases. Examples are common cold, influenza, dengue fever, etc. So these all are common cold, influenza, dengue fever, etc. are viral diseases. That means the causative agent is virus. Then cholera, tuberculosis, anthrax, typhoid, etc. These are bacterial diseases. So give some examples for bacterial diseases. Cholera, tuberculosis, anthrax, typhoid. The causative agent is bacteria. Then many skin infections caused by whom? Fungus. So these are fungal diseases. Many skin infections are because of fungal infections. Then malaria, Kala Azar, etc. caused by protozoan. So these are protozoan diseases. Examples are malaria and Kala Azar. Then intestinal worm infections caused by worms, and elephantiasis also caused by filarial worms. Okay, so these all are different infectious diseases and their causative agents. Then there is a question, why these classifications? Some diseases caused by virus, some diseases caused by bacteria, some by fungus, some by protozoan, etc. Why there is need of classification of these causative agents? That is the question. Why this categorization is important? That is, the categorization such as viruses, bacteria, protozoan, worms, like that, these organisms are categorized. And why it is important? Some diseases we are saying it as viral diseases, fungal diseases, bacterial diseases. So what is the importance of that categorization? Because these categorization that decide what kind of treatment to use, then only we can treat that particular disease. So the members of each one of these groups have many biological characteristics in common. That means, for example, you know that virus, this virus, they can live inside the host cell and they can multiply there only. But bacteria are rarely doing so, isn't it? And many bacteria, they are belonging to the group bacteria, but the members of the bacteria are different. But they have so many biological processes that are similar in nature. And if we are using any drug for a particular bacterial disease, that will effective against that bacteria, and that same drug will effective against the other members of the bacteria also. But the same drug will not be effective for that viral diseases or some other fungal diseases, etc. because these bacteria and viruses, they are showing different metabolic processes. So that we need to know which is the causative agent, then only we can decide what kind of treatment we have to give that particular patient, isn't it? So that is the importance of this categorization. Then, so we studied about the importance of categorization of these causative agents, then only we can treat that particular disease, isn't it? So for treating that microbial diseases, we are commonly using what? Antibiotics, isn't it? Then what are antibiotics? These are medicines obtained from these microbes such as bacteria and fungi. Medicines obtained from bacteria and fungi. These antibiotics, what is their function? Its function is they commonly block the biochemical pathways. Block the biochemical pathways of bacteria. What are the biochemical processes that they are doing? They will block that process. So antibiotics are medicines. You have studied in the 8th standard also antibiotics, for example, penicillin, streptomycin, erythromycin, tetracycline, etc. What they are doing, they block the biochemical pathways of this bacteria. They are obtained from where? From bacteria and fungi. For example, how these antibiotics are working? For example, all of you know that penicillin obtained from a fungus called Penicillium notatum. So that penicillin antibiotic, how is it working? That is, these will block the process of making their cell walls of bacteria. You know that most of the bacteria, they have cell walls and they are making their cell walls in order to protect themselves. What this penicillin will do? They block the process of making cell walls of bacteria. So what will happen? The growing bacteria, they cannot make their cell wall because of this penicillin, so they die easily, isn't it? So that is the working principle behind this antibiotics. But these you know that human beings, our cells, there is no cell wall because we are animal cells, there is no cell wall. So this penicillin have no such an effect on us. Understand? So that is the working of these antibiotics. So what are antibiotics? What is its function? An example. These all are very important. These antibiotics are not effective against viral infections. Why? Because these viruses that you know that are not using the same pathway as that of the bacteria. So these antibiotics are not effective against the viral infections. For example, if suppose you have common cold, if you are taking antibiotics, these antibiotics have no role against this virus. But along with this viral common cold, along with this, the bacterial infection are also there. Then that antibiotics will work only on that bacterial part of the infection, not to virus. So this these antibiotics have no role on these viral infections. So these antibiotics will work only against this bacterial infection, fungal infection, etc. Let's recap today's topic. So we studied about acute and chronic diseases and the differences between acute and chronic diseases. Then various causes of a disease such as immediate causes, then contributory causes and third level of causes of diseases with an example also. Remember that example also. Then about infectious and non-infectious diseases. Then the categorization of various causative agents and why that categorization is important. Then after that we studied about antibiotics, how these antibiotics are working in bacterial cell and why these antibiotics are not effective against viral diseases. These are the main points today that I taught, and you have to read the textbook very well and write the notes very clearly with good handwriting and submit it on time. Okay, I hope all of you understood. So once again, Jai Hind to all and thank you.